We are back in Denver, the second of a three-game series, the Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies. Paul Goldschmidt put on an offensive show here last night. Zach Greinke terrific on the mound. Tonight, we turn Goldie loose again with Patrick Corbin up against fellow left-hander Tyler Anderson. It's a Saturday night with D-backs baseball from Denver on Fox Sports Arizona. Good evening from Coors Field and welcome to the broadcast. Steve Berthune, Bob Brenly along the way. We've been saying for a while now that Goldie was due to bust out with some big offensive numbers. He put up two tremendous home runs here last night. Bob, really the culmination for Paul Goldschmidt of a hot stretch that's continued here the last couple of weeks.
Very quietly, because we've been talking about Goldie busting out. He hit a homer his last at-bat in D.C. He homered his first two at-bats here at Coors Field, but he's been pretty hot for the last 2 weeks. In his last 15 games, hitting over 430, slugging over 800. He's hit 5 home runs, driven in 20. If he's going to heat up from that, I can't wait to see it.
He is our State Farm winning combo. Goldie, the last 15 games, those numbers are very impressive. The flu bug has bitten the Diamondbacks again. Chris Owings a late scratch, and so Torey Lovullo moves some pieces around. It gives us Gregor Blanco starting in right field, his first start for the Diamondbacks.
Yeah, came in the ball game as part of a double switch last night and got a base hit in his only at bat in that ball game, getting the start in right field. Chris Owings a little bit of the flu. Nick Ahmed moves up from the 8th spot in the lineup up to number 2. He hits lefties well. We'll see what he can do up at the top of the order.
A matchup of lefties, Patrick Corbin and Tyler Anderson. D-backs try to make it 2 in a row over the Rockies. First pitch coming up.
On Fox Sports Arizona is brought to you by your Valley Honda dealers, where you get more standard features for less money. By Jack in the Box and the Jumbo Jack, a home run for your mouth. By Gigablast Internet from Cox. Welcome to the gig life. And by State Farm. State Farm is here to help life go right. Talk to an agent today or call 1-800-STATE-FARM.
Well, last night, another typical Coors Field baseball game. Diamondbacks had a 6-1 lead. They hung on and win 6-3. They'll look to make it 2 in a row here in Denver. First pitch is next on Fox Sports Arizona. Here in downtown Denver, Colorado, 79 degrees, a nice night. Afternoon lingering cloudiness starting to burn off now. Blue skies overhead. And we're just about set for baseball. The Diamondbacks and the Colorado Rockies. The second of this 3-game series. D-backs have won 9 of their last 14 here at Coors Field. And a chance tonight with Patrick Corbin on the mound to clinch a series win. Here's the starting lineup for the D-backs, brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
Yeah, we mentioned a couple changes due to the illness of Chris Owings, so A.J. Pollock will once again lead it off in center field. Nick Ahmed at shortstop batting second. Paul Goldschmidt in his customary 3 spot. Jake Lamb cleaning up at third base. YASMANY TOMAS out in left field. Brandon Drury at second base. Chris Iannetta, spin the wheel, pick a catcher. Chris Iannetta behind the plate today. Gregor Blanco getting his first start out in right field. And Patrick Corbin, the lefty, on the mound.
Yeah, David Peralta near the end of the game last night was a little gassed coming back from the flu that had knocked him down for almost all of that series in Washington. So David, especially against the left-hander tonight, sitting this one out. We get our first look at Gregor Blanco. I know you and your staff were glued to the Kentucky Derby earlier today, and I have a feeling we might see a Derby theme in your Valley Honda dealers key to the game.
You think? Yeah, saddle up. Diamondbacks to pay tribute to the Kentucky Derby. Their offensive players are going to make like horses and run around the bases today the way the horses ran around the track this afternoon.
Well, they can clinch a series victory with a win tonight. They'll improve to 3-2 on this 6-game road trip. And a win would also move the Diamondbacks ahead of the Rockies for the National League West lead. And as many days as you can spend in first place is just fine with Torey Lovullo in his first season as the D-back skipper. Colorado comes into tonight 18-12, a half game up atop the division. And they continue a season-long 10-game homestand tonight. This is game 2. And the Rockies, this is interesting. They're 11-5 on the road this year, but playing only .500 ball at home. They're 7-7 at Coors Field as Colorado takes the field. And And your Ram Truck starting pitcher is the left-hander Tyler Anderson, a Rockies first-round pick out of Oregon 6 years ago, now 27 years old. And in just his second big league season, he has struggled. No pitcher in the majors has given up more earned runs this season than Tyler Anderson.
9 home runs in 30 1/3 innings. He's given up at least 4 runs in every start this year. He's given up at least 1 home run in every start, including 3 last time against the Diamondbacks. He went 5 innings, gave up 7 hits, 6 runs, and 3 homers in that ball game.
Let's take a look at the Rockies defensively. It's brought to you by Nationwide Vision Centers.
Ian Desmond once again in left field tonight. Charlie Blackmon in center. Gerardo, PARRA over in right field. It'll be ARENADO and Story on the left side of the infield. LeMahieu and Reynolds on the right side, with Ryan Hannigan, the veteran catcher, behind the plate today for left-hander Tyler Anderson.
Yeah, this is Hannigan's just second game with Colorado after he was brought up to the minor leagues. They've had some injuries behind the plate. Vic Carapazza is behind the plate for the umpires tonight. He'll have the balls and strikes. The crew chief Mark Wegner is at first base, Mark Rippiger at second, and Phil Cuzzi at third.
You know, we touched on this last night, and I want to bring it up early because it might take me 9 innings to explain this.
All right, good luck.
The Rockies in the month of April, going back to the 2011 season till today, they've had 5 winning months in April.
Okay.
One month where they tied 11-11, and 1 losing month in the month of April.
So they usually have good Aprils like they had this year.
Very good April.
All right, I'm with you so far.
May, June, July, August, and September, from 2011 until today, they've had 2 winning months.
Total. In what, 6 years?
Yeah, 1, 2,
5
3,
or 6
4,
years.
5, 6, 7. This is the 7th year.
Wow.
But yeah, we got to work our way through the summer. But they had a 15-12 July under Walt Weiss in 2016. And a 14-13 June under Jim Tracy back in 2011. Otherwise, losing months across the board.
Well, the Diamondbacks will look to facilitate that backslide tonight as A.J. Pollock chops the first pitch at Nolan Arenado. And very quickly, 1 down for the Diamondbacks.
That's hard to do.
It is.
Just, you would think they would stumble into a few winning months here and there, especially with some of the offenses that they've run out on the field since 2011, but only 2 winning months after the month of April in 6 years.
Well, usually it seems like their pitching breaks down, and maybe that won't happen this year because they have some very good young starters in there. Nick Ahmed in the 2-hole tonight, 2-11 with a homer. Late change by Torey Lovullo. They had to send out a second starting lineup this afternoon. Chris Owings scratched, feeling under the weather. That bug is still hanging around the clubhouse, so no CO tonight. Ahmed batting second and Blanco batting 8th in right field. Nick homered at Dodger Stadium. That was back on April 15th. And since then, he's 6 for 40 up there. But he hit safely in 2 of his 3 starts in Washington, D.C. earlier this week. There's a little tapper. That's going to stay fair. Anderson picks it up. Tough throw, and he throws it away. Ahmed heads for second. And he's standing in there. We'll see how they score this. That's a base hit for Nick Ahmed. E1.
How about that?
Ahmed at second with 1 out.
Yeah, they serves the effect of a swinging butt right there. That ball just died up the third baseline. No play for Nolan Arenado. Anderson has to come off the mound and try to pick up that ball, spin around, find his target, and get Nick out at first, and he throws it away.
Well, as we mentioned at the top of the show, you want runners on the bases ahead of Paul Goldschmidt the way he's gone the last couple of weeks. And what a show we put on here last night. 330 now with 7 home runs. On base 4 times last night. He homered twice, walked, singled, and knocked in 5. Ahmed at second and 1 out. Play on at second. LeMahieu sneaking back in there. By the way, we have an update. This is only Goldie could do this. They've added 5 feet to his home run last night. It actually got longer. The original estimate on the home run to center was 446. Now it is officially 451. So while he was sleeping, he actually hit the ball farther than he had earlier in the day.
And I saw the governor out here this afternoon stepping it off. And
yes, he's the one that phoned it in.
Yeah, that's the official distance, is whatever Greg Schulte says it is. But
This is the second one, that rocket down the left field line.
For me, that was the more impressive of the 2 home runs. The first one was a thing of beauty, a towering long shot to center field, but that line drive to left, man, did that come off his bat in a hurry.
The sounds that those 2 home runs made. Again, LeMahieu sneaks in at second. And Goldie looks at a fastball. It's 1-1. 451 feet for Goldie. That's his longest home run since August of 2015. He hit one 471 off John Lackey at Chase Field. Swing and a miss. It's 1-2. Diamondbacks just saw Tyler Anderson Saturday at Chase Field, as Bob mentioned. They hit him pretty hard. 5 innings, 6 earned runs, 7 hits, including 3 homers. Drury, Mathis, and Jake Lamb all homered off Anderson a week ago tonight. Goldie hits a little tapper, same spot as Ahmed's ball. They're going to have to let this roll, and it dies in fair territory. Well, he hit one 451 feet last night. That one went about 60.
Same hitter.
It's a base hit. Just keep hitting him to that spot.
Yeah, what an approach. Swinging bunts to the third base side. Who knew? Goldie gets far enough onto the grass that as it rolls off the grass, there's not quite enough momentum to push that ball into foul territory. Just barely trickles onto the dirt.
Big RBI chance here. They're on the corners, 1 down for Jake Lamb. Ahmed at third, Goldie at first. Jake was 0 for 4 last night. As we just mentioned, he homered off Anderson last weekend at Chase. Kicks away from Hannigan. Goldie moves up. Ahmed stays put.
An even better RBI situation here for Jake Lamb. That one way out in front of home plate. Hannigan gets a chest protector on it, but his upper body's turned slightly and the ball gets far enough away for Goldie to move into scoring position.
Wild pitch. Goldie moves to second. Single can score 2 now. And it's 1-0 on Jake Lamb. Fastball's in there. Jake batting .271, 7 home runs. He's knocked in 23. He's homered in 3 of his last 6 games. Tyler Anderson is a guy who, as a rookie last year, had very nice downward movement on both his changeup and fastball. Those are his 2 big pitches. But this year, instead of dropping down, those pitches, they're not moving like they did last year. They're up and they're out over the plate, and he's getting hit hard.
And really, that's all he throws. A couple of different fastballs, a 4-seamer and a cutter, and a straight changeup. Doesn't really throw a lot of breaking pitches. Half-hour earlier start time tonight, so a little more sun on the field as we get underway here tonight. Most of the infield is in shadows right now.
D-backs last night picked up 2 quick runs in that top of the first inning. Chance to do that again right here. Jake fouls that one off, and it's 2-2. Tyler Anderson was originally scheduled to start last night's game. Bud Black pushed him back to tonight. Wanted to give him more time to work on what Black has called delivery flaws. Just been making too many mistakes behind in counts. So he's had an extra day off before this start tonight. He's gone to a full count on Lamb, 3-2. Anderson has had real problems locating this year. Very good last year at generating soft contact, pitching to contact. A lot of ground ball outs this year, however. Leaving pitches in bad spots, and now he's worked it full on Jake Lamb, 3-2. Here's that Tyler Anderson changeup. His first strikeout, 2 down.
Now, a lot of left-handed pitchers hesitate to use their changeup against a left-handed hitter because a lot of them end up in that down and in area where many left-handed hitters hit it really hard. But Anderson will throw his changeup to righties and lefties.
Ahmed at third, Goldie at second, 2 down for YASMANY TOMAS, hitting .263 with 5 home runs. YASMANY 0 for 3 with a walk last night. In fact, he's walked now 4 times in his last 4 games. First pitch is fouled back, and it's 0-1.
I watch Ryan Hannigan back there behind the plate, and I can't help but think of my former catching mate, Bob Melvin. Watch how wide Hannigan gets. I mean, he starts wide and then gets wider. It's a tremendous base underneath. He's always been known as a solid defensive catcher, especially blocking balls in the dirt. But Mel, the guy's 6'4", but he would spread out from the right-handed batter's box to the left-handed batter's box with those feet. That's wide. That's wider. Makes my knees hurt just watching him.
Hannigan spent his first 7 seasons in Cincinnati. A year in Tampa Bay, 2 with the Red Sox. He didn't play a whole lot in Boston. Was cut by the Phillies at the end of spring training this year. Picked up by the Rockies. 1-1 to YASMANY TOMAS. 2 on and 2 out. You can see he's not locating again. 2-1.
Pointed out Ryan Hannigan's wide stance behind the plate, and now he's back there shaking that right leg out, trying to flex the right knee. Maybe got a little too wide on some of these pitches. You saw those touches from Hannigan. They all mean something, I think. Could be a decoy, but yeah, wherever you start, if I touch my mask, it's the first sign. If I touch my chest protector, it's the second sign. If I touch my sleeve, it's the last sign.
That's a lot of signs.
Yeah, a variety of different ways you can do it.
2-1 to YASMANY. Just upstairs. A high changeup. Tomas lays off. It's 3-1. Brandon Drury on deck. Hard to shortstop. Trevor Story is there. Anderson gets himself in trouble, but strands too. Patrick Corbin coming up. Set for the home half of the first inning. And your Ram truck starting pitcher for the D-backs is the lefty Patrick Corbin, who's pitched really well lately. Patrick, an outstanding 2.29 ERA. That's 5th best in the National League, ahead of names like Kershaw, Scherzer, and Strasburg.
He's only given up as many as 3 earned runs in a game one time. That was really his only poor outing of the year. Dodger Stadium against the Dodgers, went 6 innings, gave up 9 hits, 5 runs, 3 of them earned. Other than that outing, every time out, Patrick has really been good.
Let's take a look at the lineup for Bud Black's Rockies, brought to you by your Valley Chevy dealers.
Here is how Harry Ralston Black will line them up tonight. Charlie Blackmon in center field, DJ LeMahieu at second base, Nolan Arenado at third, Ian Desmond in left, Mark Reynolds down at first base, Trevor Story at short, Gerardo Parra in right field, Ryan Hannigan doing the catching for left-hander Tyler Anderson.
And no wonder they call him Bud Black.
Yeah.
There's Blackmon, 288, 7 homers. Those 25 RBIs lead the Rockies. Always a threat to hit a leadoff homer. But here he's down 0-2. Blackmon hit 10 leadoff home runs last year. Charlie Blackmon, good success in his career against Patrick Corbin, 7 for 21 with a homer. Knocks that one out of play. Blackmon singled in the 8th inning last night. He was 1 for 5 in the series opener. Off the bag, that's a fair ball, and it hops down the right field line. Blackmon digging for second. Blanco picks it up. It's a leadoff double.
Right off the base down there. Was hoping that one would hook into foul territory. Got out in front, kind of rolled over that pitch, but bounced it right off the top of the bag. Past Goldie down into the right field corner for Blanco. Lead off double for Charlie Black.
And here's another hitter who has had a lot of success against Patrick Corbin. It's DJ LeMahieu, the second baseman. For the year, 268, 1 home run. Singled and struck out twice last night. He was 1 for 4. His first 2 hitters in the Colorado lineup, a tall order for Patrick Corbin. Historically, there's a strike. LeMahieu 10 for 30 versus Patrick with a couple of homers. Reaches out and shoots that one down the right field line, but foul, and it's 0-2.
Even with 2 strikes, this sets up well offensively for Bud Black and the Rockies. DJ LeMahieu is almost exclusively an opposite field hitter. You know he's going to be trying to shoot that ball to the right side and advance Blackmon onto third base, or possibly score him if he can get one through.
Six pitches, 6 strikes for Patrick, but he's got Blackmon at second and nobody out. And sure enough, LeMahieu does what he does, bounces one into right. He'll stop Blackmon at third. That's how DJ LeMahieu makes his living in this ballpark. Let's take a look at the Diamondbacks on defense, brought to you by Nationwide Vision Center.
YASMANY TOMAS in left field, A.J. Pollock in center. Gregor Blanco, his first start as a Diamondback, out in right field. It'll be Lamb and Ahmed on the left side of the infield. Drury and Goldschmidt on the right side, with Chris Iannetta doing the catching for left-hander Patrick Corbin.
Well, this is what you don't want to do, a situation in which you don't want to find yourself. 2 on, nobody out for Nolan Arenado. A single last night, he was 1 for 4. 287 on the year with 7 home runs.
He did single in the 6th inning of the ball game last night, but his most impressive at bat was his final one in the 8th inning against Archie Bradley, when he lined out to Jake Lamb at third base. The first really good swing we've seen Arenado take in a while.
Yeah, he's been scuffling a bit the last few weeks. He's looked a little agitated up there, maybe chasing some pitches he might otherwise normally lay off. Hasn't looked quite comfortable in his own skin up there.
course, Zach Greinke will do that to you when he's throwing the slider the way he was last night, spotting his fastball.
All the Rockies were very complimentary of the way Zach Greinke pitched after the ball game last night. Foul back, and it's 1-1. Arenado, unlike Blackmon and LeMahieu, is yet to figure out Patrick Corbin. Here's Zach Greinke. An outstanding ball game last night. 2 runs on 6 hits in 7 strikeouts. Got his 3rd win. Slider in the dirt, missed. It's 2-1. Patrick was just outstanding when he faced these Rockies Sunday in Phoenix. 6 1/3 scoreless, gave up only 2 hits in that ball game. That was the game that Daniel Descalso won with that walk-off homer into the pool. Patrick in that start was coming off a win his previous time out over the Padres when he went 7 full innings and struck out 9. Arenado belts it to left center. Blackmon will score. LeMahieu heads for 3rd, and it's 1-0 Rockies. Three hits open up the game for Colorado.
Now, we talked about Arenado's struggles recently, and sometimes all it takes is one line drive, even for an out. I mentioned that line drive to 3rd against Archie Bradley for an out last night. One of the better swings we've seen him take recently, driving that ball into the gap in left center field for an RBI base hit.
Here's Ian Desmond. Patrick still looking for his first out in the ball game, and he's down 1-0. Desmond 304, 2 homers, only 5 games into his Rockies career. A rough night last night, 0 for 4. He struck out 3 times. LeMahieu's at 3rd. Arenado at 1st. A run is in. Desmond in the cleanup spot for the 2nd night in a row. Last night, the first game since his return from that broken hand suffered in spring training that he did not get a hit.
Boy, Desmond, I mean, all the Rockies hitters were having issues with Greinke last night, but Desmond just seemed like he could not pick up the rotation on that slider. Kept chasing him out of the zone all night long against Zach.
Struck out twice in 3 at-bats against Zach Greinke, then once more against Archie Bradley to win the game. Missed a fastball there, and it's 1-2. Beautiful clear night here in Colorado. It was overcast and kind of cloudy most of the day, but that has moved along. A nice night here. There's a little tapper foul. It stays 1-2.
It actually spit a few raindrops right as the Rockies were finishing up batting practice today. I was down at field level and felt a little precipitation, but it just kind of blew on by and turned into a beautiful evening.
Seems like whatever the weather is when you walk from the hotel to the ballpark, it will not be that weather for the game. Good or bad. Tried to come in with a fastball and missed. It's 2-2. Rockies had planned on a longer extended spring training for Desmond when he came back last week in Phoenix, give more time to get his swing back after that broken hand. But Desmond went to Bud Black and said, why do you want me to play in minor league games when I can play in major league games? And they said, okay, you're right. And up until last night, he'd hit safely in every game he'd come back in. Mark Reynolds on deck.
Players technically don't have to go out on rehab assignments. Usually it's a mutual agreement between the team and the player that he would benefit for some at-bats or innings pitched, whatever the case may be, coming off the disabled list. But the player doesn't have to go on a rehab assignment.
Full count, 3-2. Got him. Hard fastball from Corbin gets his first out.
That's a big one too. The strikeout keeps the runners at first and third, keeping the double play in order here. Big strikeout for Patrick.
So one down. Here's the dangerous Mark Reynolds, leading the Rockies with 9 home runs. He's hitting .314. Second on the team in RBIs behind only Charlie Blackmon. Reynolds started last night's game at first base, singled, homered, and scored twice. Ball one. This was Reynolds with 2 outs in the 4th against Zack Greinke.
Yeah, one of the few mistakes Zach made all night long. A cutter that just kind of stayed in the middle of the plate that time. Reynolds got it up into the front row out there in left center field.
20th pitch of the ball game on the way from Patrick Corbin. He's only got 1 out so far. 1-1 on Mark Reynolds.
It'll be interesting to see how Patrick uses his arsenal against this Rockies team here at Coors Field. That game against the Rockies at Chase, he had a great slider work in that game. Throwing it to the back door for called strikes, throwing it to the back foot of the right-handed hitters to get swinging strikes, and it had a lot of depth and a lot of late break. Not always easy to get that same break here at Coors Field.
Rolls away from Iannetta. Here comes LeMahieu, and it's 2-0. Arenado moves up to second.
That ball skidded a little bit, stayed down a little more than Iannetta was expecting. Looked like it might have hit him right in the right hip bone. Ricocheted over toward that first base dugout, and LeMahieu alertly comes home on that wild pitch.
Two runs in now. Arenado at second. 1 out. 2-1 on Mark Reynolds. This is hit hard. Left field. Tomas will watch it go. Mark Reynolds, that's his 10th. And it's 4-0 Rockies. Well, he got a 2-1 pitch from Corbin and hit an absolute rocket out to left center.
Last night's home run was just a high fly ball that carried into the front row. This one knocked out a couple chairs in the front row. A line drive home run.
Four nothing Rockies. Patrick has still only recorded 1 out. Here's Trevor Story. And Randall Delgado and Archie Bradley have both turned in a pretty fair amount of innings as of late. This is not the night that you want a short outing from your starting pitcher. There's not a lot of length back there in the bullpen tonight. 1-1. Mike Butcher, the pitching coach. Trevor Story walked and struck out last night. He was 0 for 3. 25th pitch of the inning. There's the slider, and it's 1-2.
Yeah, with the left-hander Patrick Corbin starting, if you did have to go to the bullpen early, you'd prefer it to be a right-handed pitcher because Bud Black only has 2 left-handed bats in his lineup tonight against Patrick Corbin, so you'd like to flip it, bring in a righty to face all those right-handed hitters, but as you mentioned, those guys have worked quite a bit lately.
I wouldn't anticipate either Delgado or Bradley being available tonight, just based on the workload over the last week for both those guys. Two pitch. Oh, big Carapazza didn't bite that time. Full count 3-2 on Story, who is leading the National League in strikeouts. Gerardo Parra on his birthday today on deck. And Corbin walks him.
It's a good move by Chris Iannetta just to allow Patrick Corbin to catch his breath a little bit out there. The Rockies have really blitzkrieged him here in this first inning. You know, we talk a lot about the Diamondbacks offensively and how early in the season second and third time through the lineup, they would figure out an opposing pitcher. You know, they see enough pitches, see enough patterns. They'd have a much better idea how to attack him. I think the Rockies may have come up with a game plan against Patrick Corbin here in the first.
What makes you say that, other than the 4-0 score?
Well, I mean, they've had some real good at-bats. They've laid off that sinker down in the zone, some of them very close to the bottom of the strike zone. They've waited for him to get the ball up, and as we mentioned with the breaking ball, just not as sharp tonight as it was at Chase Field. They just seem to be laying off the pitcher's pitches that he wants them to swing at.
Well, it's working. 5 of the first 6 in the ball game have reached against Patrick Corbin. And 30 years old today is Gerardo Parra. 291 and 3 homers. Had a good night last night. 3 for 4, 3 singles. Parra in there in right field again tonight for Carlos Gonzalez. Cargo sitting against the lefty. He sat out last night's ball game after having to leave their game Thursday in San Diego with a cramp in his calf, so Cargo gets an extra day here. And Parra back in there after his third 3-hit game this year. Tony Diaz coaching at first. There's Cargo. Off to another very slow start. The final year of his contract here with the Rockies. Fastball away, missed. It's 1-0. Patrick Corbin has pretty much shut down left-hand hitters this year. Lefties have an on-base percentage of under 190 against him. That ranks Patrick top 5 among all major league pitchers. Blackmon doubled and scored to lead off the ball game. Parra waves at a slider. It's 1-1 now. 30 pitches in this first inning for Patrick Corbin. And he's only gotten 1 out. Another slider missed. It's 2-1. And Parra, for his part, is holding his own against left-hand pitchers. He's hitting just about 260 versus lefties this year, including a home run. Fastball missed. He walks Story. Now he's behind on Parra, 3-1. Ryan Hannigan, the catcher, on deck. Drives it to center, right at AJ, backs up a bit, and he's got it as Story hustles back to the bag at first. 2 outs. That one was barreled up. Ryan Hannigan signed a minor league deal with the Rockies just before opening day. He's played in 1 game with Colorado, and it was a good one for him. It was 3 for 5 with a home run and had the go-ahead single in the 11th inning. That was Thursday at San Diego. First player in Rockies history with a game-winning RBI in his first game with the team. Well, if Patrick can survive this first, have a couple of quick innings, 2, 3, and 4. 4-0 lead in this ballpark doesn't mean a whole lot. So it's far from a lost cause. Ryan Hannigan on the big league roster right now, while Tony Walters is on the disabled list. He suffered a concussion Tuesday in San Diego. Hit on the head by the bat of the Padres' Hector Sanchez on a backswing. Their other catcher, Tom Murphy, fractured his right forearm near the end of spring training. So they're going through a lot of catchers already here in Colorado. The 36th pitch of this first inning right here. 2-1.
You know, a lot of the pitches that Patrick has made in this inning aren't that bad. He's just missing below the bottom of the zone or just off of the corners, and those were some pitches that the Rockies were swinging at Chase Field last week. There's always a boost to your offensive numbers when you play for the Colorado Rockies, and 81 of your games every year are played here at Coors Field. But if I were the Rockies, I wouldn't expect 3 hits every game from Ryan Hannah.
What are you saying?
He's just never been an offensive player. He'll occasionally step on one and surprise you, get a base hit, but his value to the team is behind the plate, working that pitching staff, keeping the ball in front, throwing out the guys he's supposed to throw out. Anything he gives you offensively is a bonus.
Yeah, he's a dirt dog back there.
Yep.
There's no question.
Absolutely.
He'd been playing with AAA Albuquerque in the Coast League this year. Played 13 games there, hit about 280. It was the first time in 9 years that Hannigan had started a season in the minor leagues. The pride of Andover, Massachusetts, and Rollins College. 39th pitch of the inning. Got him. The long first for Patrick Corbin. The Rockies have a 4-0 lead. You can't catch the games on your television. Why not stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go? It's presented by your Valley Honda dealers. Download the app and take Fox Sports Arizona and your D-backs with you wherever you go, just like Baxter does with his little cat hands.
At least he's got a glove that fits on that left cat hand.
Not sure how he operates. I mean, when you hit the screen with your paw, it didn't respond all that well.
Probably has one of those nifty pointers that the governor uses on his iPad. You know.
Oh yeah, like the old
little
ones
rubber,
that used to have the pen.
Yeah, with a little rubber tip on the end.
Governor is on the cutting edge of technology. Brandon Drury leads off the second against lefty Tyler Anderson, who's now got a 4-0 lead. Brandon 302 with a home run. That homer came against Anderson a week ago tonight at Chase Field. Brandon coming off his flu-ridden series in Washington this week, 0 for 4 last night.
3 of those at bats. He put the first pitch in play weekly, unfortunately. Maybe still feeling some of the after effects of that flu.
I don't doubt it. That thing has come around twice now through the clubhouse. Chris Owings down. The Drury, good success against Anderson, 4 for 7 in his career. Knocks that into the right field corner. That's a fair ball. It rolls all the way to the wall. And Brandon Drury's in at second with his 6th double.
Brandon starting to utilize that opposite field approach a little more often recently. Got a fastball out over the plate and just stayed right on it. Drives it down into that right field corner. Good start.
That's the same ball that he hit in his first at bat last night that went right into the glove of Mark Reynolds at first. A line drive just like that one. Here's former Rocky Chris Iannetta behind the plate tonight. Single in his start against the Nationals on Thursday. Chris hitting .208 with 2 homers. He is still the all-time leader among Rockies catchers in runs scored, hits, RBIs, and games caught. He played here a long time.
Had 18 homers back in 2008 for the Rockies. Followed that with 16 homers. A couple years later, 14. I remember when Chris Iannetta first got to the major leagues, the Rockies thought their catching problem was solved for a long time. And he did play a long time here in Colorado, but just never really took that next step to be one of the elite catchers, both offensively and defensively.
It's one hard, but foul down the left field line. Yeah, the Rockies drafted Chris Iannetta as a 4th round pick back in '04 out of North Carolina Chapel Hill. He's a Tar Heel. And he broke in with Colorado, was part of their 2007 National League Championship team. Played 6 years here. Leadoff double for Drury. 1 and 2 on Iannetta.
Well, you may have noticed in the background there, the out-of-town scoreboard. The Reds are putting it on the Giants again today.
Boy, that Giants team, whew, there's a chance they may play like this all year. 11-2 in the 5th inning at Good American Ballpark. There's a tapper that's in that same spot. This one stays fair. The Diamondbacks are 3 for 3 over there today. That sure looked like it was going to go foul. Arenado finally at the last moment figured it wouldn't.
Yeah, and that's actually a smart play by Arenado. He picks it up and tries to tag Brandon Drury going 2nd to 3rd right there. He knew he wasn't going to get an out at first base, so he thought he might trick Brandon Drury and pick that ball up and apply a tag at 3rd, but Brandon able to get on the bases. Arenado goes tumbling over the top.
The 3rd time already, and it's only the top of the 2nd inning, that a Diamondback player has hit a ball just like that for a base hit.
If you could only teach that.
Go figure. Gregor Blanco, his first start for the Diamondbacks, playing right field tonight. Singled in the 9th inning last night here, his first at bat as a D-back. That one's in the dirt. Blanco recalled for the minor leagues just before yesterday's game. Braden Shipley optioned back to Reno to make room on the roster. His 9th big league season, longtime Giant, .259 career hitter. Performed very well in a minor league rehab assignment, both at Visalia and Reno, after straining his right oblique very late in spring training. This is a guy Torey Lovullo told us yesterday. Winning attitude, fills in the gaps in the lineup, understands what his role is. Very versatile. Really, in a lot of ways, your perfect 4th outfielder.
Boy, and is he glad to be here. I ran into him down in the clubhouse before the ball game, had a ear-to-ear smile on his face. I mean, if you're going to come back off the disabled list in a rehab assignment, this is where you want to be. First game in live action. last night. Came off the bench as part of a double switch and got a base hit in his only at bat, and now getting a chance to get 4 or 5 ABs here at Coors Field.
Signed a minor league deal with the D-backs in January. He had some interest from teams like the Orioles and the Tigers, but said he just liked the way the Diamondbacks do everything. Pretty aggressive, wanted to be on a team like this. And he hits it hard into right. That'll get Drury home with the Diamondbacks' first run. Gregor Blanco, 2 for 2 as a Diamondback. It's 4-1.
Nice batting average all time for the Diamondbacks so far. Perfect 2 for 2. Clean line drive into right field, chasing Iannetta up to second base and bringing Brandon Drury onto the dish.
And giving Patrick Corbin a chance to bunt the runners over. 3 straight hits open up the D-backs' second. Reynolds charging in from first. That pitch is a strike, 0-1.
Now Reynolds is going to try to pull a Goldie here. We've seen Paul Goldschmidt charge hard from first base in situations just like this and try to get the lead runner at third base. Well, with Chris Iannetta running at second, I'm sure Mark Reynolds is going to be very aggressive here, trying to get the lead run at third if at all possible.
Reynolds already halfway to home. Here he comes again. Corbin bunts it third base side. Anderson goes to third, and they get Iannetta.
He bunted it to the right side of the field. Unfortunately, with a left-handed throwing pitcher on the mound, this becomes a pretty easy throw for him to third base. Really takes his time. Might have had a chance to get 2 there had he unloaded the ball a little bit quicker, but they get the lead run at third base nonetheless.
So 1 out. Blanco is at second, Corbin at first, and here's A.J. Pollock, who grounded out on the first pitch of the ball game, his first time up. A.J. tripled, doubled, and scored twice last night. Floats what looked like a soft cutter in there. It's 1-0.
AJ had the 2 hard legs of the cycle last night in his first 2 at bats. Tripled to lead off the game, doubled in the 3rd inning, scored both of those times, but then went 0 for 3 the rest of the way.
Came home on a Peralta RBI ground out, then Goldie's 3-run homer. AJ, both his home runs this season have come against left-hand pitchers, and he's always hit very well in this ballpark. Missed with a fastball. Anderson's behind 3-0. Nick Ahmed on deck.
I'm pretty sure AJ would have the green light here if it was a pitch to his liking, and anytime you get the green light 3-0, it better be your dream pitch, whatever that happens to be.
This is a spot where most of this year Anderson's been hanging a changeup or throwing kind of a flat fastball up there. Looks at a fastball at 94. It's 3-1. Nick Ahmed singled his first time up. He'll be next. Looks at another fastball. That time it's 95, and the count is full 3-2. Third full count tonight so far for Tyler Anderson.
Well, they give AJ a lot of room in that gap in left center. Charlie Blackmon shaded several steps over to the gap in right center. He and Desmond in left field playing straight away and deep. A lot of room in that gap.
3-2 pitch. Hard to third. Arenado is there. Gets the force for one and turns the double play. Nolan Arenado, 4 Gold Gloves, and that's why.
Coors it's difficult when you first go there.
That's where it all started for me.
That was my first stadium when I came to the big league, when we play away.
It's a nice park. You know, sometimes the weather is a little screwy there.
You know, the air's thinner, but the ballpark's big.
Keep the ball on the ground pretty much.
First thing that comes to mind is just a great place to hit.
The track meet.
You feel like the field's, you know, 1 million yards long, and yet still people are hitting crazy homers off you.
Coors Field experience from the Diamondbacks.
Just
Tyler Anderson, the pitcher.
Just the looks on the face of the hitters. You ask them about Coors Field, their eyes light up, they smile. You ask the pitchers, they look like they want to cry.
Anderson, the pitcher, lifts one out to right field for Gregor Blanco out there tonight. One down. Patrick's retired 3 in a row after that bumpy first inning. Yeah, you know, we sat down with all the players in spring training, and with Coors, we got a little bit of everything. You got all the weather. Oh, I love to hit there. Oh, I hate to pitch there. You always get extremes, one or the other.
Yeah, kind of like the weather when we come here.
Yep.
Although we can't complain about the last 2 days. It is absolutely beautiful this early in the season here in Colorado.
Yeah, it's a gorgeous night again here tonight. Blackmon doubled and scored his first time up. Colorado got 4 in the first against Patrick Corbin. Including a 2-run homer by Mark Reynolds, his 10th of the year. And his second in this series. Squibb shot to shortstop. Ahmed, long throw. Goldie can't keep the foot on the bag. Well, Nick, knowing that Blackmon runs pretty well, had to hurry that time.
Yeah, played it well, played it to the backhand side so he could get a little momentum going into his throw. Unfortunately, it was high. Goldie did come off the bag. Yeah, it looked like he got down before Blackmon got there. I think we're going to challenge this one.
Headsets are going on. Mark Wegner, the crew chief, is the first base umpire. They'll talk to New York.
That's a play where you want a first baseman that has big feet. long shoes.
Oh, yeah, the toe is right there.
Yeah.
I mean, that is as close as he can get, but clearly the toe got down before Blackmon hit the bag.
Yeah, and you can see how far to the backside of the bag Blackmon hit the base that time. We showed you Goldie recently hitting the very front edge of the bag with his toe, getting there as quickly as he possibly could. That might have made the difference on that play.
You can see Mark Wegner, the umpire who made the call, staring at the left field scoreboard. He's getting his own look right here, and New York has made up its mind. He is out at first. So take the error off the board. 6-3 put out, 2 down.
And more importantly, take the runner off base.
Yeah. Base is empty for DJ LeMahieu, who singled and scored his first time up. Came home on a Corbin wild pitch. Arenado followed with an RBI single, then Reynolds a 2-run homer. So we were talking about if Patrick can get a quick inning here or there and make up for that first inning. Well, how about this so far? He's got 2 outs on 3 pitches in the second. Just what the doctor ordered. There's a strike to LeMahieu, 0-1. There's a little swing and bunt. Corbin's on it. Got to hurry. And a very quick inning for Patrick Corbin, just what you were looking for. 3 outs on 5 pitches. D-backs down 4-1.
The Rockies lead it on the scoreboard 4-1 as we head to the bottom half of the 3rd inning. Hey, fans, a D-backs home run tonight means a free Jumbo Jack tomorrow at participating Jack-in-the-Box locations with the purchase of a large drink.
D-backs fans with us here in Denver for the weekend, as Nick Ahmed leads off the 3rd inning against lefty Tyler Anderson. Nick singled his first time up. Batting second tonight, Chris Owings, a late scratch if you're just joining us. The flu bug has clipped CO. That thing just will not leave us alone. So Blanco's in at right and Ahmed at shortstop. All right, Vic Caraponza doing some groundskeeping there around home plate. Ryan Hannigan finishing things off, and we're set to go.
Trying to put the grounds crew out of business.
Ahmed. Wow, it went through Arenado. Stories there to back up. And once again, Ahmed is safe. We'll see how they score that. It was hit right at the 4-time Gold Glover and went right through him.
That's why we come to the ballpark, to see things you've never seen before. I've never seen Nolan Arenado fan on a ball like that. A short hop just a little bit to his left. He normally picks that one and throws you out by a mile at first base.
Story made it close, but Ahmed's aboard to lead off the 3rd. Here's Goldie. can feel the scorekeeper hesitating to give. They gave him a hit. I knew it. Oh, it's off the glove of Story. Ahmed had to hold up, and he's in there at second. Goldie's aboard. What is going on the left side of that Rocky infield?
I think Story was taking a peek to see where Nick was, to see if he could possibly double him off after catching the line drive. He just neglected to catch the line drive.
They ruled the Arenado play a hit, which I kind of still can't get over. That's an E6.
Make it hurt.
First two have reached in the D-backs third. Jake Lamb, the hitter. Jake struck out his first time up. Lamb homered off Tyler Anderson last Saturday at Chase. 1-0. Pitches, only 24 strikes. Here's the 1-0. Jake Lamb, the numbers can move up a bit against lefties. Right now, he's under 200 as he steps in here. 6 for 32 with a home run versus left-hand pitching.
We've talked about Jake Lamb as well as David Peralta, a couple of the left-handed hitters in the D-backs lineup. Both having better at bats this year against lefties. Hasn't always been rewarded.
Oh, Story sneaks in behind Ahmed, and Nick is picked off. Well, the Diamondbacks in the last inning, really almost through no fault of their own, made 2 outs at third base. And now Ahmed here in the third is picked off second.
Perfect throw that time by Anderson, right on the base. That's the only way they were going to get Nick out there at second base, and he put the throw right where it had to be.
Well, you can't get picked off down 3 runs. So that's the first out of the third. 1-1 on Lamb. Jake did well in this ballpark last year, 10 games at Coors Field. Had 6 extra base hits, including 3 homers. That's out of play behind the D-back dugout. 2-2. Well, I'm sure Bud Black is not comfortable with this 4-1 lead with Anderson out there especially. He beat the Brewers in his first start this year. That was at Miller Park, but since then, Tyler Anderson is 0-3 in 5 starts, and he's given up at least 4 runs in every start this year. 2-2 to Jake Lamb. Goldie takes off for second. Jake fouls that one back. Lays off that Anderson changeup, and he's worked it full 3-2.
Yeah, normally a run situation, even trailing by 3 runs in a game, full count with 1 out, if you trust that the hitter will put a strike in play. Now, Jake Lamb does swing and miss quite often, especially against left-handed pitching, so we'll see what Goldie does down there at first.
strikes out. He struck out twice so far against Tyler Anderson. 2 down.
Just a challenge fastball right in the middle of the plate. Jake swings right through it.
YASMANY TOMAS grounded out his first time up.
Opposing teams are well aware of Paul Goldschmidt's ability to steal a base, and I was just thinking about the fact that Dave McKay does so much homework on the opposing pitchers and their moves to home plate, their moves to first base. And of all the guys on this Diamondbacks roster that you think would pay a lot of attention to that, Goldie probably wouldn't be at the top of the list. I mean, you think AJ and Chris Owings and Nick Ahmed and some of the other guys that can really run would be the guys that would want to pay a lot of attention to that. But I bet Goldie spends more time than any other Diamondbacks base runner studying those moves to first base and working with Dave McKay.
And he's so good running around the bases, rounding the bases, just clipping the corner of each bag. YASMANY can't check. 1-2. And Anderson changeup got him that time. Tomas, for his career against Tyler Anderson, has done well. 5 for 9 with 3 doubles. Out Tomas with a fastball. Diamondbacks at first and second, nobody out, and that's where it ended. It's still 4-1 Rockies. Trail the Rockies 4-1. Now it's time for the Unlimited Baseball break presented by T-Mobile. News from around the major leagues. Orioles closer Zach Britton back on the DL. Salvador Perez left today's game for the Royals with a forearm bruise. X-rays negative. Good news for Kansas City. And boys, you mentioned earlier, Bob, the Giants are just getting pummeled in Cincinnati. 25-5 the last 2 games. They're 11-19. Nolan Arenado leads off the home half of the 3rd against Patrick Corbin. Patrick, after that bumpy first inning, has retired 5 in a row. Arenado hits one high in the air, deep left field, and there it goes. Nolan Arenado, that's number 8, and it's 5-1 Rockies. Second home run today, given up by Patrick Corbin. Well, as awkward as Arenado looked last night, he looks dialed in tonight.
I said it last night when he lined out to third base, hit that ball right on the button. You hope that wasn't the beginning of a hot streak for Nolan Arenado, but now he's 2 for 2 today. He's driven in a couple of runs, and that swing looks much quicker and much more confident today than it did early in the game yesterday.
Got a pitch up from Corbin and didn't miss it. Here's Ian Desmond, who struck out his first time up. First pitch swinging right to Drury. That's the first out at the bottom of the 3rd.
First baseman, number 12,
That's the first time we've seen a smile on his face in this series. He really was scuffling last night early in the game.
Reynolds is not scuffling. Homered last night, homered again tonight. 2-run homer in the first, his 10th of the year. Big swing and a miss. Here's Reynolds in the first inning. Line drive to left center. So Reynolds now leads the Rockies in homers and RBIs, which is interesting considering they gave Ian Desmond $70 million to play his position.
And Reynolds was just a safety net.
Lamb at 3rd. 2 down. Trevor Story walks his first time up.
Some other news from that Reds-Giants game. Billy Hamilton is 3 for 4, needs only a home run to complete the cycle. I don't know, Billy. Had to be an inside to Parker.
In Cincinnati?
Well, that's true. I forgot where they were.
But if anybody could hit an inside the park home run, it would be him.
Yeah.
Story fouls the first pitch away, and it's 0-1. Trevor Story struggling so badly right now. Even Coors Field isn't helping. He's hitting under a $150 at home this year. And his slugging percentage at Coors Field somehow is under 300. And he's had only 3 extra base hits here all season, which is almost hard to imagine here on May the 6th.
You know what else is hard to imagine on May 6th? This is a bonus this day in baseball history.
Oh, all right, good.
Back in 1983, the Angels beat the Tigers 4-2 that day. Rod Carew went 3 for 4 to raise his season average to 500.
May the 6th.
Oh my.
The great Rod Carew.
Finished the season at 339. Wade Boggs, the only player in the American League to hit for a higher average that year.
Story belts it to center, right at AJ. But Nolan Arenado leads off the inning with his 8th home run. The Rockies have a 5-1 lead.
Field, Todd Walsh back with Steve and Bob, and guys had an interesting conversation earlier today with the happiest guy in the ballpark, Gregor Blanco.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to hear from him on tomorrow's pregame show. But we talked about the oblique injury and how it set him back so much. Of course, the complications with his contract and then being released. And I asked him point blank, why did you stay? You know, loyalty rewarded. And his answer to that is worth tuning in tomorrow. Just about the equity that he felt he had with this organization, the guys in the room, and their talk about, there's a called strike, trying to win a championship. And I asked Torey Lovullo, you know, what about that loyalty? And he said, you know, that went a long way with us. And the fact that he's been around championships matters here.
He's a winner. He always has been. He's got the World Series rings to prove it.
Yeah, I'm sure he has a lot of past history to divulge to the young players on the Diamondbacks. I mean, when you've been on winning teams, you see what it takes to win. And when you've been on losing teams, you know what it takes to lose. And I'm sure Gregor Blanco can probably more quickly recognize those things than maybe some of the younger D-backs players.
In hockey, we call that the teams that have the 1,000-yard or the 100-yard stare. Those are the teams that are playing like now.
Is that like plus minus?
Don't.
He's going to be a great addition. There's no question about that. And, you know, you mentioned the contract, Todd. It got a little complicated because, you know, they signed him to a minor league deal. It was clear near the end of the camp that he was going to make the team. Had a very good spring. But then the oblique. So now they got to figure out what to do. He was released. Rather than pay him a retention bonus or add him to the 40-man roster, they needed that 40-man roster spot. And so, as you mentioned, the next day he was re-signed. So there was some maneuvering there with him, and he was very patient.
And it sounds like there was a direct line of communication and good communication from the Diamondbacks to him and his people. And you know, that's a leap of faith right there for that 24 hours. And he was rewarded, and it looks like this group will be as well. I think there's a great story developing there.
Brandon Drury looks at a cut fastball from Anderson, who struck out 3 in a row.
Anderson's history this season has been second and third time through the lineup. The offenses usually have their way with him. First plate appearance in a game, he's held the opposition to a 208 average. Second plate appearance, it jumps up to 304, and the third plate appearance, 464. About halfway, a little over halfway through the second time through the order here for the Diamondbacks.
D-backs have had base runners. They've had their chances already. Iannetta fouls that one hard. They had 2 on in the first inning. They had a bunch of guys on in the second, made 2 outs at third base on force plays. Then had first and second, nobody out in the third. Nick Ahmed get picked off second, so they had plenty of chances. But they trail at 5-1. I forgot to ask Todd if he did the Game of Thrones interview with the. Is Todd
yeah,
available?
Oh yeah, sure.
Did you do the Game of Thrones thing with Taiwan?
You know, I was so overwhelmed by it that I had to.
You chickened out, didn't you?
Yeah, I did.
I gave you all that good Game of Thrones stuff.
You did. You really did. I went back.
About the Ironborn and what is dead may never die. And we talked about Targaryens and
I was stuck on
House Baratheon, House Bolton, House Lannister, House Stark.
The trouble with tribbles.
That's no. See again.
See, I was.
Don't do that at Comic-Con. that'll get you beat up.
Okay.
Guys in superhero suits will come by and.
How do you do this, Bob?
When I hear game of, I stop listening. Because I have no idea what he's talking about.
I noticed that you
see
built a
way
wall.
back years ago. There were the first men. Oh, we won't even. There's no time. It'll take the whole game.
It took a whole inning. I know that.
It did. So bottom line is you bailed.
Well, I needed you. The whole point of that was I just didn't feel.
I was just up here, you know, hanging out, drinking lemonade.
That's a rain check, though.
Yeah. No, he didn't, Mark Wegner. Well, Taiwan, you can't talk to him now because he pitches tomorrow.
Right.
So you missed your window.
There will be other opportunities.
And yeah, Game of Thrones night coming up at Chase Field in July, just before the show starts. The new season's supposed to start in July sometime. And the Taiwan Walker bobblehead is going to be the talk of Major League Baseball. This might be, and I'm all serious about this, this might be the hottest bobblehead this year of any team in the big leagues.
Well, you know what? I don't doubt you on that. I've seen it, and there's a beauty to it, there's a majesty to it, and a story that you'll help me tell at some point.
He's a White Walker, and as you know, you can only kill a White Walker with Valerian steel. Now, there's only 2 Valerian steel swords that we know of. Jon Snow has one, and I think Brienne of Tarth has the other, unless she gave it back to the Kingslayer. I've lost track of the second Valerian sword.
How you doing, Bob?
Huh?
All right, now I'm just messing with you guys. I bet our producer, Brad the Big Dog Weimer, knows what happened to Brienne of Tarth's Valerian steel sword, because you need that to kill the White Walker.
Can't we all just get along?
Broken tapper. No, we can't, because winter is coming.
As I said last night, live long and prosper, Steve.
And Todd, as we say north of the wall, now your watch is ended.
Godspeed.
Here at Coors Field, time to take a look at this day in Major League Baseball history, brought to you by Geico. We go back to May 6, 2012. For the first time in 110 years, 2 position players get a decision in the same game.
You mean pitching?
Yeah. Baltimore beat Boston 9-6 in that game, 17 innings, 6 hours and 7 minutes, and Chris Davis, the first baseman from the Baltimore Orioles, pitched 2 shutout innings to get the win.
Wow.
Darnell McDonald, an outfielder for Boston, gave up a 3-run homer to Adam Jones in the 17th to take the loss.
D-Mac. Gerardo Parra leads off the home half of the 4th against Patrick Corbin. That was a long game.
Ooh. It turned out to be a good game for Chris Davis because he was 0 for 8 as a hitter, but he got the win.
6 of 1, half a dozen. Parra lined out to center his first time up. Gerardo Parra in the lineup today on his 30th birthday. Just became a dad not too long ago. There's a tapper to second for Brandon Drury. Four in a row set down by Corbin since the Arenado homer, and the catcher Ryan Hannigan.
Well, that's half the formula when you find yourself behind early at Coors Field. Obviously, you need to have some offense. You need to score some runs to get back in the ball game, but you also need your pitching staff to stop the bleeding. Hold the Rockies right there and give your offense a chance to get back in the game.
Hannigan rolls one into right, a 1-out single. That'll bring up the pitcher, Tyler Anderson. By the way, we should show you the Taijuan Walker bobblehead. This was just announced by the Diamondbacks the other day. All kidding aside, this thing is fantastic. The Diamondbacks will host Game of Thrones night July 7th. July 7th, fans. Get on dbacks.com and get your tickets because these are going to go really fast. Game of Thrones night, July 7th at Chase Field. The Taijuan Walker, White Walker bobblehead. Going to have a whole big Game of Thrones. You might want to call in sick. It's going to be Game of Thrones night that night, BB. Throughout the game, fans can expect to see several in-game integrations and promotions centered on, wait for it, Game of Thrones.
Frankly, I find that a little frightening.
Well, yeah, I told you, the White Walkers are bad dudes, man. They're coming from north of the wall, and winter is coming. Limited Game of Thrones ticket packages are available, fans. Go to www. Remember when we used to do that all the time? dbacks.com/GOT, Game of Thrones. dbacks.com/Game of Thrones. Exclusive bobblehead only available if you purchase a Game of Thrones ticket package. So it's a little complicated. Anderson bunts it. Corbin will go to second. They get the force on Hannigan, and that's it. So to get the bobblehead, you have to get a Game of Thrones ticket package, and you get those at dbacks.com/GOT. And you can get the Taijuan Walker, White Walker Night King bobblehead, July 7th at Chase Field. Charlie Blackmon has doubled and grounded out, 1 for 2.
Nice effort there by Nick to turn that double play. Really had to hang in tough as Ryan Hannigan was right on top of it. Patrick Corbin got to the bunt in good shape. And Nick tries to complete the double play with Hannigan right in his grill out there at second base.
Yeah, quick pop-up slide there. But straight into the bag, nice and clean. That's a fair ball. It rolls by Golding and down the right field line. Anderson running as fast as he can. Blackmon's headed for third. Throw is into third. It's cut off. An RBI triple for Charlie Blackmon. 6-1 Rockies.
Right down that first baseline for Charlie Blackmon. Tough play for Gregor Blanco. There's an area where the padding juts out. You'll see it down that right field line. Occasionally the ball will hit that area and bounce back toward the infield. That one missed the area of the bleachers. It juts out there, rolled all the way down into the corner.
So Blackmon is at third with 2 outs for DJ LeMahieu, who has singled and grounded out. Rockies with 4 in the first, 1 in the third, now 1 in the fourth. Base hit, 7-1. RBI single for LeMahieu, who's 2 for 3. Just not Patrick Corbin's night.
Yeah, stuff is just not nearly as crisp as we've seen from Patrick this year. 93 miles an hour, inner third of the plate right there. Not even saying they're mistakes. He's just throwing some strikes that the Rockies are putting good swings on, and as I mentioned earlier in the ballgame, they're laying off all those borderline pitches that he got him to chase at Chase Field.
Arenado has singled and homered. He's knocked in 2 and scored twice. That one rolls away from Iannetta. LeMahieu moves up 90 feet. 1-1.
This is one of the bigger crowds we've seen at Coors Field in our recent travels here to the Mile High City.
Just over 30,000 last night. Much bigger tonight, looks like it anyway. Gorgeous night for baseball in lower downtown Denver. Nice block by Ineta. Really got out there behind Arenado to block that one.
That's a tough one because occasionally you lose sight of the baseball as you slide inside and that batter gets between you and the ball. That time Ineta able to keep a beat on it the whole time and keep it in front.
Who was the pitcher that did that to you most often? The guy that you, oh, it's going to be a long night with this guy.
Well, we had a whole staff full of split finger pitchers, so you just take your pick. Just pull one out of a hat. Yeah.
Patrick Corbin throws a slider, gets Arenado to strike out. But the Rockies add 2 more through 4. Diamondbacks trail it 7-1.
One, I want you to note the optimistic tone of my voice here.
I always do.
Anytime the D-backs score 5 runs or more, Taco Bell is giving away 3 free tacos with a purchase of a large drink between 4 and 6 the following day at participating locations.
Brimming with enthusiasm.
Let's go.
Bob Renly as we start the 5th inning.
Time to go.
Patrick Corbin will lead it off against left-hander Tyler Anderson, who's got a 7-1 lead. And then A.J. Pollock and Nick Ahmed 9-1-2 here in the 5th inning. Rockies had a 4-run first against Corbin and have tacked on a few more from there. Fastballs in there for strike one. Anderson has retired the last 5 he's faced, coming off a 1-2-3-4. Mentioned that Bud Black had pushed Anderson back one night to start this game instead of last night. Did that because Anderson has struggled also to break up his lefties. They had Kyle Freeland, the rookie left-hander, pitching right in front of Anderson. Freeland had started Thursday in San Diego. important is that to split up the lefties? We hear that all the time.
Especially if they're similar in style. If they have a similar assortment of pitches, they attack hitters in a similar way, you'd really like to split those guys up. But I just think right, left, if you can do it, that's the way to go.
Well, that's what Bud Black was saying, and hopefully the extra day would give Tyler Anderson a chance to catch his breath after a bumpy start. 0-3 in his last 5 starts. But he's got a 6-run lead here in the 5th tonight. Patrick strikes out to open up the 5th. 5 strikeouts for Anderson. Here's A.J. Pollock, who's 0 for 2.
Of course, we saw Anderson at Chase Field last week, and we noted at that time a very unusual delivery, especially with that front leg. For him, the right leg, it almost looks like he's wearing spurs. He's trying to prod himself on to throw that next pitch. Watch that right leg. If he were wearing spurs, he'd probably injure himself.
There's a little rocket kick there, too.
A bit of a quick pitch that time. Another feature I really kind of enjoy about Anderson's delivery, after he gets his sign from the catcher, he holds that glove up near his left ear like he's listening to a seashell or something, trying to hear the spin on the ball.
And because he's a lefty, he looks a little bit like Clayton Kershaw with that right knee that lifts straight up. Then there's that pause and the leg drops back down. Kershaw will come straight over his head when he comes set. Anderson doesn't go quite that high, about ear level, as you said.
Like he's listening to his glove right there before he goes into his delivery.
Usually, of course, Mark Fidrich would talk to the baseball, but Anderson has the baseball talk to him.
Yeah. Well, until tonight, the baseball hadn't been saying very nice things in his ear.
2-2. Changeup missed.
I wonder how many pitching coaches have told him over the years, you can't pitch like that.
Well, you know, it's something. He's always pitched like this. In fact, he said he didn't even realize he was doing it until he got to college at the University of Oregon, and everybody said you can't pitch like that. But to him, it feels like he's very smooth. And he rings up Pollock. 6 strikeouts for Tyler Anderson, who set down 7 straight.
A little bit of a backdoor cutter that time. Didn't quite get to the corner. That's what AJ is insisting to Vic Carapazza behind the plate.
He's thrown that pitch a lot tonight. Nick Ahmed at shortstop tonight, 2 for 2. The 1-1 to Ahmed. Just upstairs, 2 balls and a strike. You were right about Goldie. That's our camera that's positioned down there, right next to Torey Lovello. Torey's standing right next to that camera. And so Goldie really does back up right in front of him. He can't see anything. Action in the Diamondback bullpen now. The left-hander Andrew Chafin is up and throwing. There's the camera behind Goldie that we just used. Torey chatting up Goldie.
Well, the good thing is Goldie never really takes a full swing in the on-deck circles. Takes that abbreviated short little chop just to remind himself to be short and quick to the ball.
First walk of the game issued by Tyler Anderson. Nick Ahmed's been aboard all 3 times he's been up there, which is what you're looking for in the 2-hole. And here's Goldie, who has singled and reached on an error. Goldie 2 home runs last night. He's now got RBIs in 6 straight games at Coors Field. That ties Gonzo's D-backs record. Andrew Chafin, as we mentioned a moment ago, down there with Mike Fetters, the bullpen coach. Fastball's in there for a strike. That's the cutter again.
Yeah, he's starting to lock in on that outside corner with that cut fastball. It's such an easy pitch for a right-handed hitter to give up on. You see it way over there in the left-handed batter's box, and then that late movement brings it back to the corner.
The numbers for Goldie last 15 games. Look at those.
Ooh.
Fished on a changeup, and it's 0-2. Highest on base percentage this year in 2-strike counts. Goldie, number 1, over 470. So just about half the time he's up there with 2 strikes, he gets on base. That's amazing. 80 pitches for Tyler Anderson, 50 strikes. He's throwing the 4-seam, the cutter, and the 2-seam. That 2-seamer missed. Saturday night here in downtown Denver, Coors Field. D-backs trail at 7-1 in the 5th. Nick Ahmed at first, 2 outs. Oddly enough, Goldie, despite those big numbers we just put up, really not hitting left-hand pitching very much this year at all. 233 versus lefties and nearly 370 against right-hand pitchers. That's backwards. Just reaches out with the emergency hack, gets a piece of that changeup.
Good hitters have the ability to do that consistently. Find themselves in a 2-strike count. You see that pitch, it's a little too close to the outside corner to take with 2 strikes, but you're not really going to be able to do too much with it. Just find a way to foul it off and stay alive. Good hitters seem to be able to do that on command.
Spoil the good pitches and wait for a bad one. More pitches a guy has to throw, the more the chances increase that he's going to make a mistake, right?
Give him a chance to make a mistake. That's the way a hitting coach in the minor leagues put it to me. Give that guy a chance to make a mistake. You're up there hacking at the 1st and 2nd pitch of every at bat, especially if they aren't what you're looking for. You're just doing them a favor.
Laid off that changeup, and it's 2-2. Goldie has, I'm sorry, Bob, go ahead.
I was just going to say, D-backs need something to jumpstart the offense here.
Yeah.
Somebody hit one up in the seats, or hit a triple.
Well, this is the guy to do it.
Yep.
Based on last night, a couple of long homers. He's been an RBI machine in this ballpark. 46 runs batted in 45 games here at Coors. He keeps throwing him that changeup, and Goldie keeps either laying off or fouling it off. Can't get him to chase it. It's 3-2. Lamb on deck. 7-pitch at bat, number 8 on the way. Reynolds now behind the runner at first. That's Ahmed. He'll be off with a pitch. There goes Nick. Goldie pops it up. Fouls it back here. We'll do it again. Last 15 games, 5 homers, 20 RBIs, 11 walks over that stretch. Ahmed takes off, and Goldie looks at that cut fastball. He snuck it back over, and that ends the inning. Diamondbacks trail the Rockies 7-1.
I want to take you back to 2007, one of the biggest home runs hit in that magical season for the Arizona Diamondbacks by a rookie. Mark Reynolds, his first playoff game, tie score, 7th inning, and this drives in the winning run. And Mark just celebrated his 10-year anniversary of big league service yesterday as we bring it back to live play. That ball is outside. And it was 10 years ago this month that he was called up from Double-A when Chad Tracy went on the disabled list for the Arizona Diamondbacks. And I talked to him today for a pregame show tomorrow and asked him to recall, if he could, 3 specific home runs that he hit. That one, the one he hit on opening day here trying to keep his career going, and then his first at bat, first pitch for the Yankees. There's a swing and miss at Fenway Park in Boston. The story he told about that was remarkable. Said he'd just been released, was sitting on the couch watching Major League Baseball, probably watching you, Steve. and Joe, seriously, and Joe Girardi called and said, would you like to come play for the Yankees on Friday night at Fenway Park in Boston? And he said, well, sure. And the first pitch he hit over the monster. But the recall of those moments was remarkable. Still going.
Well, you hit some baseballs like the one you just showed us, and I bet you remember those for a while.
Yep. As he said, though, that one on opening day with Ian Desmond on the shelf was the one that got the, quote, confidence ball rolling. And he's still out there, and he's leading the team in homers.
Got 2 in this series. Desmond shoots one through the hole and into left. A leadoff single, his first hit in the series. And here is Mark Reynolds. Homered last night, homered again tonight.
Tortorella making that slow walk out to the mound. That Patrick's just not fooling anybody tonight. We mentioned it earlier, stuff not nearly as crisp as we've seen in past starts. So Tortorell's going to pull the plug right here in the 5th inning.
Well, he told us that the bullpen is in pretty good shape except for Delgado and Bradley, so it could be a parade of relievers from this point on. We'll take a break. D-backs down 7-1. count 7-1. Fans, MLB.com at bat is your #1 mobile app for live Arizona Diamondbacks baseball. You can stay connected with a fully customizable experience. Get D-backs home screen icons, app features, as well as game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcast, statcast news, the whole thing. Download MLB.com at bat today. Our Ash line call to the bullpen produces Andrew Chafin his 13th appearance of the year, an ERA just over 3.5. Not a lot of guys back there in the bullpen tonight who can give you length. Delgado and Bradley have been used a lot. Doubtful we'll see them, so we may see Chafin, the first in a long line of relievers here to finish this one off.
Yeah, ideally keeping that pitch count down, being able to possibly pitch multiple innings if necessary, but it all depends on that pitch count.
Mark Reynolds, who homered in the first inning, his second home run in this series, is up with Ian Desmond at first and nobody out. Rockies, once February rolled around, decided to bring Reynolds back on a minor league contract. He played here last year. Even after signing Ian Desmond, he was still sitting out there in the open market without an offer, so he's brought in with the idea that he'd play some first, maybe some third base too, and be a right-hand pinch hitter off the bench. Rockies last year very pleased with his defense at first base. Did a good job down there last year. And he hit .282, still strikes out a pretty fair amount, but he's improved in that area. And in fact, last year his on-base percentage was over .350, which was a career high.
Reynolds has tremendous power to all fields. He's not strictly just a pull power hitter. He can drive the ball to right center or right field with authority. When he gets some lift, he can drive it out of the ballpark that way.
16th round pick by the Diamondbacks back in '04 out of the University of Virginia. He's a UVA Wahoo. Diamondbacks, Orioles, Indians, Yankees, Brewers, Cardinals, and the Rockies. Fastball's in there. It's 3-1. Got a $3 million offer to go play in Korea this year, but passed. Instead took a minor league deal with the Rockies. And now here he is, leading Colorado in home runs and RBIs. Full count, 3-2. Trevor Story will be next. Story still hitless in the series. Didn't get the call on the fastball from Vic Carapazza, and the first two have reached in the Rocky fifth. Story is walked and lined out to center, 0 for 1. Ian Desmond at second, Mark Reynolds at first. Still no outs. Story right now just 2 for his last 24 up there with 13 strikeouts. He is really scuffling. Leading the National League in strikeouts. And somehow he's walked twice in this series already. One is fouled straight back. Andrew Chafin right now one of 3 left-handers in the D-backs bullpen. You've got Jorge De La Rosa back there, the former Rocky. TJ McFarland, who's looked very good since he's joined the Diamondbacks, and Andrew Chafin. Struck him out with a slider. 1 down in the 5th.
Looks like he took a little off that slider, made it more of an off-speed pitch. Got Story way out in front that time. Now the ground ball.
Here's Gerardo Parra. Desmond at second and Reynolds at first. Ball 1. Parra with Colorado really enjoying Coors Field. Look at this. This year's .354 in this ballpark, including all of his home runs. .211 on the road. Knocks that into right field. It drops in for a base hit. Desmond coming home. Blanco bobbles the ball out there. And it's 8-1 Rockies.
Desmond got a pretty good jump out there off second base. I don't believe Blanco could have had him with a throw to the plate, but he loses a handle out there in right field. Takes the play at the plate completely out of the equation.
Here comes the catcher, Ryan Hannigan. Hannigan has struck out and singled. He's 1 for 2. Reynolds at second, Parra at first. A run is in. Hannigan seems like the type of guy that Bud Black would really value. He cares about his catchers like a former pitcher would. And in Hannigan, he gets a guy who's been around the block, gives you a veteran game behind the plate, which this year is actually doubly important for the Rockies. They have 3 rookies in their rotation.
He's not wearing it now, but I'd noticed that Ryan Hannigan even had on a cheat sheet behind home plate on that left wrist. Saw Dustin Garneau wearing one last night. That's becoming pretty much the norm around baseball. Yasmani Grandal had one on when we played the Dodgers.
Well, for Hannigan, he didn't join the Rockies until the very end of spring training. He got cut by the Phillies almost just before April 1st. Picked up by the Rockies the next day. Then he went to the minor league, so he's on a crash course.
Well, probably hasn't caught a lot of these Rockies pitchers yet.
There it is. Spots the fastball for his second strikeout. 2 down. We'll get a pinch hitter. Or no, Tyler Anderson will take the at bat. Two on and 2 out. Boy, the Rockies, they had a few chances yesterday. They were 0 for 4 with runners in scoring position. Tonight, 5 for 9.
We were talking last night, partner, about the Diamondbacks and their effort to get guys into and out of Denver in one piece. And with that in mind, they didn't take batting practice on the field today. The guys that wanted to hit could take optional batting practice in the cages near the clubhouse. Several of the infielders came out to take some ground balls earlier today, but no batting practice on the field. There probably won't be any batting practice on the field tomorrow either. Just trying to limit the workload while you're here at altitude or elevation, whichever one it is.
I think it's both. Andrew Chafin gets 3 strikeouts in the inning, but the Rockies get another run after 5. Diamondbacks are down 7.
At regular menu price using promo code DBACKS50 at papajohns.com.
I got one for you.
Okay.
The Dodgers, who are the Dodgers playing again? Oh, they're playing the Padres. They're playing at Petco Park, and right now the Dodgers are leading the Padres 5-0. They're in the 5th inning. The batteries for the two teams. You ready for this?
Okay.
This is going to blow your mind. The batteries for the two teams. For the Padres, Clayton Richard pitching, Austin Hedges catching. For the Dodgers, Clayton Kershaw pitching, Austin Barnes catching.
How about that?
Clayton and Austin and Clayton and Austin.
That sounds like a this day in baseball history next year.
Yeah, that is weird. Jake Lamb. Jake's bat's got to get going here in this ballpark. 0 for 4 last night. He struck out twice in his 2 at-bats tonight. Anderson approaching 90 pitches. He's not a guy who goes real deep in the game, so another left-hander is warming up for Bud Black. Chris Russin is down at the bullpen. He started throwing. Tyler Anderson has yet to complete 6 innings in his 6 starts this year. He's also yet to throw 100 pitches in a ball game, so Russin will start warming up in the Rocky pen. I got another thing that's going to blow your mind. This is even bigger.
Yeah, I think I know what it is.
Do you see who's pitching for the Cubs?
Yes, I did.
It's Miggy time.
Miggy.
The Cubs are losing to the Yankees at 11-6.
11-6.
In the ninth, and Miguel Montero now pitching for the defending World Series champs. Now that is weird, wild stuff. Jake Lamb 0-2 or 1-2.
What's really weird about it is Miggy used Trevor Bauer's warm-up routine.
Oh, see, there you go.
Playing catch from corner
That
to corner and
over the line. It's a league game, Smokey. 90 pitches, 56 strikes. That was pretty funny. Lamb strikes out for the third time tonight. 8 strikeouts for Tyler Anderson. This is a guy who has really struggled. There's been a lot of talk lately about does he even hold his rotation spot, but he's looked really good tonight. He's struck out 8, he's walked only 1. YASMANY TOMAS has grounded out, struck out 0 for 2. So Miggy was throwing foul pole to foul pole.
oh yeah, the whole thing.
Do we have that on video?
That little wobble stick that he used to get his arm ready.
He was also seen flying a drone.
Well, he threw his, well, I can't say the first strike. He walked Gary Sanchez to start the inning and then threw 3 pitches in a row in the dirt before a called strike against Didi Gregorius, now 3-1.
Matchup of former Diamondback greats. Tomas came into the game 5 for 9 career against Anderson, but so far 0 for 2. And YASMANY, despite the increased walk frequency we've seen lately, has not been producing. 3 for his last 28 up there. It's been a pretty quiet road trip for him. 2-2. Well, you can see all the folks in the rock pile in center up on the rooftop behind right center field. There's a lot of people in the ballpark tonight, as you said. Every level. Hard to find that empty seat. That rooftop, what a night to be up there. It is just gorgeous here tonight. They've got that Jack Daniels area near center field, the rooftop in right center, the tavern in the right field corner. That's all new construction last couple of years. Those used to be just dead empty seats, and now you can see it is packed. Very social area out there. You can have a beverage, stand there with a countertop in front of you, watch the game, and you are literally a mile high up there. There's that row of purple seats. Foul ground, and it's out of play. Now, the Rockies changed their purple. They got a different shade of purple, and of course they had a row of purple seats up there. And when they changed the shade of purple, they had to replace that entire row of seats to match the new purple. But that rooftop area, we've been up there, it is awesome. There's the new seats. It's a lighter shade of purple the Rockies went to this year. And the views from up there are spectacular.
Lighter shade of purple. That Procol Harum?
Pardon me?
Oh, that's lighter shade of pale.
Oh,
That's
see,
different song.
You are on top of your game tonight.
Yeah, I mean, looking up at that area in right field, the rooftop area out there with all the places to eat and drink and hang out, those used to be empty every ball game.
Oh, it was just dead space.
Yep, empty seats.
And look at them now. They are lining up on a Saturday night in Denver. That's the thing to do. And all those people will be walking to a different bar when we walk back to the hotel.
There's a few between here and the hotel.
Occasionally. Yeah, 14 bucks. General admission seating up there gets you in. You can walk around all the different spots. A lot of teams have done that in their ballparks. Cleveland Indians did that. The Seattle Mariners have a big area like that at Safeco Field. That's become kind of the new thing. And the Rockies, boy, a shining example of turning just basically dead space into a big moneymaker.
Yep.
Brandon Drury has doubled and scored a run, 1 for 2. 100th pitch of the ball game coming up from Tyler Anderson. He struck out the last 3 he's faced. Quick pitch, fouled it back. You get a sense of the view from right there. That looks like the rock pile. Now that's the rock pile area out in dead center, which is way up high out there. What a nice night to be out there tonight. 100 pitches, 64 strikes for Anderson. That's that second section of seats in center field. And some nights here that can be a rough spot to be, but tonight it's just beautiful. If you've never made it out here, you really need to. It's a great place to pick a weekend when the Diamondbacks are here. Just fly out to Denver, take in a couple of ball games. You can stay right near the ballpark. There's great areas to walk around. Union Station is right down the street. Lower downtown area, Lodo as they call it here. All kinds of bars and wine tasting places, bagel shops, donuts, pizza, whatever you want. Sushi. People just hanging out, eating lunch outside. It's a great area. Tyler Anderson pitching one of the best games he's turned into the big leagues. He has struck out 10 and leads at 8-1. Diamondbacks trail the Rockies 8-1. CenturyLink, your link to what's next. Taijuan Walker on the mound against Tyler Chatwood here in the series finale tomorrow. A 12-10 first pitch back home in Arizona. Diamondback Line pregame show at 11:30.
I find it kind of interesting. Taijuan Walker, when we've seen him at his best, works that four-seam fastball across the top of the zone. But when you ask him about pitching at Coors Field, he said, try to get ground balls. Yeah. So we'll see which Taijuan Walker shows up tomorrow.
Charlie Blackmon has doubled, tripled, and scored twice. Rockies getting a great pitching performance from Tyler Anderson, who has tied his career high with 10 strikeouts. Just struck out the side in the 6th. He's walked only 1. In fact, the Diamondbacks' last base hit was Nick Ahmed's infield single to lead off the 3rd. That's the one that went through Arenado's glove, was scored a base hit. So the leadoff man in the 3rd, the last D-backs hit. One hop right to Drury. Andrew Chafin back out there for his second inning of work. He had 3 strikeouts in the 5th. DJ LeMahieu, a pair of singles. He's got an RBI. He scored a run.
LeMahieu never strays too far from his program. We talked about it earlier. Opposite field, try to hit a line drive just over the second baseman's head. That's usually his goal every at bat. But with a 7-run lead in the 6th inning, this might be an at bat where you see him look for something middle in and try to pull it in the air to left field.
Yeah, no hitter in baseball last year. Pulled the ball less often than DJ LeMahieu. Last season, only about 20% of his batted balls went to left field. Off the glove of Chafin, and he's aboard. Tough play for Andrew.
Just a pitcher's instinct out there on the mound is to try to field anything that comes back toward you. Unfortunately, tips off the webbing of his glove, slowed it down enough so Nick Ahmed had no play at first base.
Here's Arenado. RBI single in the 1st, a solo homer in the 3rd, struck out his last time up. Nolan Arenado's father, Fernando, fled Cuba with a family when he was just a boy. He eventually settled in the Anaheim area. That's where Fernando Arenado grew up, a big Angels fan, and so he named his son after one of the Angels pitchers, Nolan Ryan. Hence Nolan Arenado. They lived right near Angel Stadium, in fact. And this great hitter actually named after a pitcher.
How about that? Ryan, to the best of my recollection, wasn't a great hitter.
Although I bet nobody ever told him that.
No.
One and two. Strikes out for the 2nd time tonight. 2 down.
Tailing fastball, it appeared down and away from Arenado that time. Swings right over the top of it.
4th strikeout for Andrew Chafin. Now here's Ian Desmond. Our stat man Nate the Great reports Nolan Ryan a career 110 hitter.
It's respectable.
Did hit 2 homers. The pride of Alvin, Texas.
If Nolan happens to be watching tonight, let me rephrase that. Boy, that's really good.
Good thinking. Chafin behind on Desmond, 2-0. 2 outs, LeMahieu at first. A lot of puzzled looks when the Rockies gave Ian Desmond a $70 million deal. The biggest free agent contract the Rockies have ever given a position player. And not only that, Ian Desmond was given a qualifying offer to stay in Texas last year, which he declined. So to sign him, the Rockies had to pay the money and give up a first-round pick in this year's draft, which was the 11th overall selection. So they gave up the 11th pick in the draft and $70 million to sign a guy who had never played first base before. And everyone thought, well, that's a little weird. And we'll see how it works out. He had the broken hand. He's only played 5 games. But you just get a feeling based on the way this guy produces, they're going to be just fine.
Yeah, he's been a consistent run producer, consistent home run hitter. We speculated that playing half his games here at Coors, those home run numbers would probably go up this year.
Andrew Chafin has the strikeout pitch working. 5 punch-outs in 2 innings. Diamondbacks trail the Rockies 8-1. Lefty Tyler Anderson. What a performance. Our Cox high-speed highlights. He went 6 innings for the first time this year, gave up only 1 run on 6 hits and tied a career high with 10 strikeouts.
Yeah, that's the real surprising thing. Anderson has never been a big-time strikeout pitcher, but boy, hitting his spots today. He found that cut fastball about the 3rd inning of the ball game and really went to it a lot after that.
He had yet to complete 6 innings in his 6 starts previous to tonight, and had given up at least 4 runs every time out, but he pitched a heck of a ball game tonight. And here's the lefty Chris Russin from the bullpen to start the 7th. 9th appearance of the year for Russin, a 3.21 ERA. Chris Iannetta, the former Rocky, who's 1 for 2, will lead it off for the Diamondbacks. D-backs have not had a base hit since Nick Ahmed's infield single to lead off the 3rd. In fact, since then, they've only had 2 base runners. Goldie reached on an error, and Ahmed drew a walk. That's been it. Chris fouls the first one down the right field line. It's 0-1. I see Miguel Montero put up a 0 on the board for the Cubs.
He's leading the National League in ERA right now. Yeah, 1 inning, a walk, 2, threw a wild pitch, but did not allow the Yankees to score through 25 pitches, 11 for strikes.
Some big numbers up on the board tonight. Red Sox 11-1 winners at Minnesota. Yankees 11-6 winners at Wrigley. The Reds just crushed the Giants again, 14-2. Mets beat the Marlins 11-3 in Miami. A big night for offense, and here in Colorado, it's 8-1 Rockies.
Red Sox 11-1 victory over Minnesota. 8 of their runs came in the top half of the second inning.
It's a long afternoon at Target Field. We'll be there later this year. One of the most beautiful ballparks in the big leagues, Minneapolis. It's a lot like this, actually, Coors Field. They're both enormous parks. And both, if you're a ballpark person, you need to get to both these parks. Broken bat right to Story. ARENADO 1 for 3, 1 away. TJ McFarland, another left-hander, warming up now in the Diamondback bullpen. And here's Gregor Blanco, the start tonight in right field. Had an RBI single in the second, grounded out his last time up. There's McFarland, who's done a very good job since he came up to the minors. A guy that Torey Lovullo is very familiar with, having watched him from the Red Sox bench while McFarland was pitching in Baltimore. Pitcher spot due up next. Andrew Chafin has turned in 2 innings, so Chris Herman will hit for Chafin. Blanco hits 1-2. Story at shortstop. 2 down.
That's another thing that Blanco brings, even though he grounded out to Trevor Story short right there. It was a bang play at first base, and that was about as routine a ground ball as you can get, and he very nearly beat it out. That element of speed.
It was very close. The Herminator, 186, couple of homers. Chris 1 for 10 as a pinch hitter this year. He'll hit for the pitcher Chafin. Chris Russin's a valuable guy to have for Bud Black in the bullpen. He can start for you. He can do long relief, short relief, whatever you need. He's kind of been that guy his whole career. 49 major league starts, 36 relief appearances. One and two. Yes, he went. Phil Cuzzy rings him up. Russin works a 1-2-3-7. Stretch time at Coors. D-backs trail at 8-1. Diamondbacks trail the Rockies 8-1. Hey, if you need help with your Mother's Day plans, don't forget. And don't worry, we got you covered. Get tickets to the D-backs and Pirates game coming up next Sunday at Chase Field. First 10,000 moms with us will get to take home a D-backs clutch purse. It's courtesy of PetSmart. And moms can stick around after the game, run the bases with kids 15 and younger for Phoenix Children's Hospital. Get your tickets right now at dbacks.com. The left-hander T.J. McFarland, who's looked very good for the Diamondbacks so far, answering the Ashline call to the bullpen, his 4th appearance this year.
He's yet to give up an earned run in his 3 1/3. Very limited sample size, but his stuff has been good. He's gotten the guys he needed to get.
Released by the Orioles shortly after spring training began, picked up by the Diamondbacks, and it's been a very good acquisition for Mike Hazen's group. Mark Reynolds hits a tapper to third for Jake Lamb. 1 down. That'll bring up Trevor Story. McFarland, 16 appearances with Baltimore last year. Worked only about 25 innings. But he has pitched the parts of the last 4 seasons with the Orioles, nearly all in relief, over just about 120 career major league appearances. Story has walked, lined out to center, and struck out. He's 0 for 2. Well, McFarland coming in a big spot at Nationals Park this week. Got 4 outs on 11 pitches in the middle of one of those ball games. Jumps ahead of Story 0 2. Andrew Chafin completed 2 innings of work. Gave up 3 hits, a walk, and 5 strikeouts.
And I'm sure Troy Lavella will have some complimentary words for Andrew Chafin after the ball game today. When your starter gets knocked out early, you're never quite sure what's going to come out of that bullpen when the door opens up. But Andrew Chafin, with 5 punch outs in his 2 innings of work, did allow the 1 runner that Patrick Corbin left on base to score on a ground ball by Gerardo Parra, but no runs on Andrew Chafin's record, 5 punch outs.
2 and 2 on Trevor Story.
And gave him the 2 innings they needed out of the bullpen.
Critical with your long men having been used so much lately. Delgado and Bradley. Count is full now, 3 and 2. Gerardo Parra, his 30th birthday today. He's on deck. Hits it hard and deep to left field. Tomas at the wall. It's off the base of the wall. Pollock over to pick it up, and Story is in at second with his 5th double.
Story really had to extend his swing right there. He got fooled by that pitch. Looked like a changeup out over the plate. Really had to reach out there and hook the ball back to left field. Tomas might have quit on that one just a hair too soon. That ball hit right at the base of the fence out there in left center field, but goes as a double for Trevor Story.
Gerardo Parra, an RBI single his last time up. He's 1 for 3. Parra now in his 2nd season with Colorado. Got a 3-year, $27.5 million free agent deal before last season. Had a disappointing year last year. Was injured for a while. And a very serious ankle injury. And he was only able to play in just about 100 games for the Rockies last year. It was a high sprain to the left ankle. That happened in the middle of June, had to sit out nearly 50 games.
Yeah, it was a little tweener, a little pop-up in shallow left field, and I believe it was Trevor Story that made a diving attempt as PARRA was coming in from left field and just chopped his legs right out from under him.
Yeah, that really derailed his season. He was able to get back early August, and then in September came up with a right hamstring problem. Ankle really wasn't fully healed either. We saw PARRA playing some first base near the end of last year after Reynolds got hurt. He did not like first base.
Well, you don't get to showcase your arm very much at first base.
That's it. I mean, that was the discussion at Salt River Fields this spring. Said, I don't want to play first base. He loves playing the outfield. And basically was over there last year because he said he couldn't run. The ankle and the hamstring. Jake Lamb at third, backs up, sets himself, throws. 2 outs. Veteran Chad Qualls, the right-hander, starts warming up in the Rocky bullpen.
Hey fans, in honor of the anniversary of Randy Johnson's 20 strikeout game against the Reds from May 8th, 2001, Fox Sports Arizona will replay this classic D-backs game from their championship season on Monday at 7 o'clock.
Got an off day Monday before we start a long homestand on Tuesday with 2 against the Detroit Tigers. Get your tickets at dbacks.com, fans. Diamondbacks will be home for the next week or so. 2 against the Tigers starting on Tuesday. 4 against the Pirates over Mother's Day weekend. And then 3 against the Mets. And a quick 3-game visit to San Diego. We're back home for 3 against the White Sox. So May's a good chance to check out your Diamondbacks. dbacks.com/tickets. Going to be interested to get a look at not only the Tigers and the White Sox, 2 teams we don't get to see very often, but 4 games against the Pirates. There's always stuff that happens when the Diamondbacks and Pirates get together. Oftentimes it isn't good. Here's the catcher, Ryan Hannigan. Pitcher spot is up next. Pat Valleca in the on-deck circle.
Pirates bringing up the rear in that National League Central, 13-16 going into play today. And they beat the Brewers 2-1 today. They get a step closer to that 500 mark, but still in the basement.
Hannigan drops it over the head of Drury and into right. Here comes Story. The throw from Blanco is not in time, and it's 9-1 Colorado. RBI single for Ryan Hannigan.
Well, he's never been an offensive player anywhere in his career until he got here to Colorado.
3 hits in his first game, 2 hits in his second game. So Russin, Valleca's been recalled now. It's 9-1. Russin will take the at-bat. I bet you sat through 1 or 2 of these nights when you were in uniform in the D-backs dugout in this ballpark. Torey Lovello's first experience being on the wrong end of a Coors Field game.
Well, there were a few games here I thought we were on the wrong end, trailing by 8 runs in the middle of the ball game. We came back to win them.
Russin strikes out, but the Rockies tack on another run. We'll head to the 8th inning. Torey Lovello's Diamondbacks trail at 9-1. Field tonight. Diamondbacks trail the Rockies 9-1 as we start the 8th inning. Fans, you can get tickets to any home game this season with a D-backs value pack. The D-backs value pack includes a game ticket, the Subway sandwich or a hot dog, your choice, and a Pepsi. All that for only $25. For tickets, visit dbacks.com/value.
Now, my staff says that confidence is high that we're going to do a game from the home run porch on Wednesday.
I floated that idea yesterday, so you've been in touch with your staff.
Yeah, you know, there's still a few T's to cross and I's to dot, but yeah, it looks like we're going to be out on a home run porch on Wednesday.
Against the Tigers. That'll be fun. Did that once last year. Had a great time. Home run porch, one of the most unique seats in all of baseball at Chase Field. You hang out over the playing field. A.J. Pollock leads off the 8th. He's 0 for 3.
Well, the rally has to start somewhere. Might as well be A.J. leading off here in the top of the 8th. Got a lot of work to do and a little time left to do it.
Played just over 30 career games at Coors Field. He's hit .360 here with 5 home runs. Broken bat roller to third. Arenado is there. 1 away. Nick Ahmed has been aboard all 3 times he's been up there. 2 singles and a walk.
This has to be one of the most comfortable spots in anybody's lineup. Hitting behind A.J. Now, A.J.'s had a rough night tonight, 0 for 4, hit into a double play and struck out once. But as often as A.J. gets on base, and with Goldie hitting behind you, this is where everybody wants to hit.
Chris Owings done a great job in this spot. David Peralta as well.
You see Goldie taking those little half chop swings. He doesn't really take a full swing.
Why not?
I don't know. He's probably going to hit his manager if he does. He's standing right in front of Torey Lovullo over there.
Yeah, they got the clipboard over there. Butch is trying to figure out his bullpen, and Goldie's out there swinging away. Arenado in the hole, spins and throws. 4 Gold Gloves right there. He might be the best defensive player at any position in the game.
Well, what amazes me is his ability to throw off balance from just about any angle, falling into foul territory, that time going to his left up the middle of the field and fading away from his target, and rarely, if ever, makes a bad throw.
Goldie. And an infield single in the first inning. Takes a strike. The left-hander Chris Russ in his second inning of work on in relief of Tyler Anderson, who struck out 10 over 6 innings, tied a career high.
Five pitchers in the game tonight for both clubs, all left-handers. Goldie letting out a little shaft right there, trying to do some serious damage against the Rockies left-hander. You don't usually see him take big swings like that.
A little quick pitch, and Russin struck him out. Russin has retired all 6 he's faced. Diamondbacks down 9-1. pretty much all Rockies tonight. Tyler Anderson was outstanding, tied a career high with 10 strikeouts, completed 6 innings for the first time this year. Diamondbacks only 1 run on 6 hits. The Rockies have home runs from Mark Reynolds and Nolan Arenado, and they lead at 9-1 as TJ McFarland is out there to face Charlie Blackmon to lead off the bottom of the 8th. Blackmon has doubled, tripled, and scored twice tonight. Charlie Blackmon, a little bit of a Coors Field hitter this year. His numbers at home are elevated, as you imagine they might be. And there's another reason why. His 3rd hit tonight, he's a home run shy of the cycle. He's hitting nearly .390 at Coors this year, and he's got 3 hits tonight. Third hit given up by TJ McFarland. Here's DJ LeMahieu, who has singled 3 times. Did you ever come close to hitting for the cycle?
Not that I recall.
Minors, anything?
Those triples were tough.
With your catcher speed, I'm surprised. Aren't all catchers fast?
Yeah. Well, we run hard. Not necessarily fast, but we run hard. Like we're mad at the ground. Farland trying to induce that double play ball from LeMahieu, working across the bottom of the zone.
For a guy that won a batting title and has been a good hitter for a while now, he still sees a lot of fastballs. Last year, while LeMahieu was on his way to winning the National League batting title, he was seeing more than 65% fastballs. Some of that might be the hitters around him, but there's a little lack of respect there.
I think it's because he doesn't hit for a lot of power. You know, you don't want to walk him, make him put the ball in play, take your chances that he might hit one at your defenders. But unfortunately, over the last couple of years, DJ LeMahieu's been finding a lot of grass out there in the outfield.
Sure has, all in center and right center. Just like that. Just missed it. That would have scored Blackmon easily.
It kind of reminds me of we had a bench coach with the Giants named Bob Lillis, who managed the Houston Astros at one point. And we could never beat the Astros. They would get 16 hits, 16 singles in a game. And when Bob Lillis later came over with the Giants, we were talking about it, and he said, well, you know, we had a bunch of guys that really didn't hit for a lot of power, especially playing in the Astrodome. A bunch of singles hitters, and you guys just threw us all fastballs, and that played right into our hands. They didn't try to hit it out of the ballpark. They just tried to slap it around the field. And they would just, you know, nickel and dime you to death. Get guys first and third, another base hit, first and third, another base hit, first and third. I mean, there are a couple guys in their lineup that were capable of hitting home runs, but for the most part, they had a bunch of slap singles hitters that could hit fastballs.
Well, some of it might be Coors Field, but LeMahieu really did break out last year. Career highs in doubles, triples, and homers. Slugging percentage went up more than 100 points. So he might have the reputation as a bit of a slap hitter, but he can handle himself pretty well. By the way, our intrepid staff says you twice fell a triple shy of the cycle.
Really?
84 and 87.
I told you those triples are tough.
3-2.
Talking about LeMahieu again, you mentioned career highs in doubles, triples, homers last year. I think those numbers are going to continue to go up every year. I just think he's a very smart player. With each passing year, you get more of a book on opposing pitchers. You get a better idea of which guys are likely to challenge you on the inside part of the plate with a fastball. And in those instances, maybe you look to pull the ball a little more. And like you said, it doesn't hurt to have the guys around him in the lineup that he has.
Blackmon ahead of him and Arenado behind him. Yes, they're able to get the force on Blackmon at second. Brandon Drury had to hang in there with Blackmon bearing down on him.
Slowly hit ball, fast runner at first base, and Jake really took his time to get that ball over there to Brandon Drury. Fortunately, just in time to get the force at second base.
Here's Arenado, an RBI single and a solo homer. He's also struck out twice. Here's a double play ball. Ahmed, Drury, and they turn it. Ninth inning coming up. Diamondbacks down 9-1. Replacing Mark Reynolds, who will get the top of the ninth inning off. Diamondbacks down to the last 3 outs. They need 8 runs. And Jake Lamb, who was 0 for 3 with 3 strikeouts, will lead it off. Chris Russin out there for his 3rd inning of work, which means he'll get a save in a 9-1 game.
Good old-fashioned Goose Gossage 3-inning save.
Been a very quiet series for Jake. 0 for 4 last night, 0 for 3 tonight. place where he really hit the ball well last year. 10 games at Coors Field, 3 home runs. He knocked in 12. YASMANY, TOMAS on deck. Brandon Drury after that. Russin so far has retired all 6 he's faced. Same 2 teams tomorrow, series finale. Well, it's looking like the rubber game. Taijuan Walker against Tyler Chatwood. Diamondback Live pregame show at 11:30 in the morning tomorrow. First pitch 12:10. Todd Wall standing by. D-Backs Live postgame show. Torey Lovullo getting the Coors Field experience. I guess there's several different versions of that. You can be up 9-1, down 9-1, or in an 11-11 ball game. Yes, he went. And Jake Lamb, 4 at bats, 4 strikeouts, 1 down.
Yeah, those ones you were talking about, the 11-11 or 13-12 games, are the ones that really test you as a manager, because you feel like, man, we've got a chance to win this game. We've got a chance to win this game. You score a couple runs to take a lead, and the Rockies come right back and score a couple runs. And they take the lead.
We had a bunch of those last year here.
Man, go through a whole can of bullpen in one night.
Goldie's streak is about to end here. He's had an RBI in 6 straight games at Coors Field. That had tied Gonzo's D-backs record. There's a little tapper from Tomas. Arenado charges but can't make the bare hand play. YASMANY aboard with 1 out.
Second baseman.
It's the 4th swinging bunt in the game. Diamondbacks only have 7 hits. 4 of them haven't left the infield.
4 of them stopped before third base. They all went to almost the same spot. Here's YASMANY legging out an infield hit. That really is kind of a do or die play, right?
Absolutely. And third baseman practice that play, but you know, in the heat of game, and you start charging a little harder, get out of control, overrun the ball, or don't quite get a grip on it.
Brandon Drury doubled and scored in the second. He's 1 for 3. Dodgers leading at San Diego right now. They're up on the Padres 5-1 in the 8th inning. The Giants were just creamed again in Cincinnati. The Reds beat San Francisco 14-2. And that's what an 0 for 4 with 4 strikeouts looks like right there. Drury hits one back up the box. LeMahieu, what a play! DJ LeMahieu nearly turned a double play off a ball that should have been an infield single. That's why he's got a Gold Glove on the resume. They get the force on Tomas.
Not content just to keep that ball in the infield here with the backhanded play, but the glove flip onto Story. You could clearly see that Drury beat it easily at first base, but what a stop and flip by DJ LeMahieu.
So Drury at first, 2 outs. Here's Chris Iannetta, 1 for 3 with a single. Russin 1 out away from getting his first save in a 9-1 game. You work 3 innings, you get the save. Those are the rules.
Oh, this is odd. It's just been pointed out by the guys in the truck. The Diamondbacks have made 1 out in the air tonight, and that was a line drive to short. Everything else has been a ground ball or a strikeout.
Rockies do not have an outfield assist, or no outfield outs, pardon me. There's a little pop-up. LeMahieu calling for it. PARRA coming in. And that's the ball game. Rockies even the series at a game apiece. The Diamondbacks watched Colorado score 4 in the first on what turned out to be a rough night for Patrick Corbin, on their way to a 9-1 win.
Yeah, this is one you just want to get in the shower and wash it off and come back tomorrow for the day game and try to win the series with a win in the finale tomorrow. Just a rough night for Patrick Corbin, a rough night for a lot of the D-backs offensively.
Big night for that young man right there, the left-hander Tyler Anderson, who tied a career high with 10 strikeouts, completed 6 innings for the first time this year. And Chris Russin gets his first save, working the final 3 innings. Gave up just 1 hit. 9-1 the final. Todd Wall standing by. Diamondback Live post-game show presented by CenturyLink is next here on Fox Sports Arizona. This 3-game series is even at a game apiece. Diamondbacks drop this one 9-1. We'll have a complete wrap-up from Coors Field right after this.